Good, good afternoon. Of course, you may be watching this in the morning or the night. I don't think I'd recommend watching much that I do in the morning. Just might start your day off on the wrong foot. I was trying to think. I have been somewhat, shall we say, trying to lighten up a little, and I may have found the right story. Many years ago, about 1988, I was living at the Didsbury, or the Olds overpass. I'm so used to saying Didsbury, but at the Olds overpass, about half a mile north of the little gas station that's there, but not operating nowadays, and the west side of the road, and I had a small cabinet shop there, and a little house that I had built, and so on, and I was trying to think. I mean, is there not something humorous that I could talk about as opposed to being too serious and all that sort of stuff? And I thought, humor it's a hard thing to fabricate. I mean, at the moment, when you say something and more than one or two people laugh, which is kind of good as long as you're not in a crowd of 100, humor is very good. And so here goes. We'll take a shot at this. I had a stud. I won't tell you what kind of horse it was. I don't want to embarrass myself. But a good-sized stud. And a golden retriever dog. And that dog had a sense of humor. And the horse, he didn't like that dog's sense of humor. I was sitting on the top of the fence rail, not post, dear Lord, that would be uncomfortable, but on the rail. And toward the end of the day, and I was just kind of hanging out with the two boys, one a horse and one a dog. We did not talk much, not much point. And but the dog, he had a game plan, and he was going to implement it. The stallion, stud, was just off about 20 feet from where I was sitting on the top of the rail of the fence, and the dog, it looked at me for a bit, and then it just decided to go do its thing, and so it walked out there about 10 or 12 feet, picked a clump of grass, and urinated on it. And the tribute to that dog was he shut her off pretty quick, and he went and did that again in about 10 or 12, 15 feet, and then again, and again. And I was kind of watching him. I thought, that is control, son. And but I also was watching where he was making his water, which is an Irish term. No water closet, which is like a head on a boat, chip, whatever. And I headed out there when the dog was done, and the dog came over and sat down, and it just stared at me. I am convinced that dog was challenging me to go and remark the territory that it had marked. And having a sense of humor does not always mean that you implement it, nor does it mean that what you do is going to be humorous and or funny in any sense of the word. But I thought about that for about my usual in-depth contemplation. About 3 seconds, I got off that fence. I watched the stallion, because that stallion hated the dog. And quite frankly, I don't think that stallion liked me much either. And I headed out to where that dog had urinated. And I did my best to lay a small amount, and I went to the next one and the next one. I made it to the fourth one, which is a tribute to the amount of coffee I drink during a day. It's actually quite a bit. And the dog and the stallion, they did not take their eyes off me. I mean, I don't blame them. What idiot goes and makes water and there's not even a tree, just a good-sized clump of grass? So I came back after I was done. Actually, it didn't take that long, but dear Lord, starting and stopping is not as easy as one might initially think. And I came back, I climbed up on the rail, and the dog, he was kind of smiling at me. There was no emotion attached to his smile. But that dog, he did not like that stallion. And the stallion did not like the dog. So when we were done, I didn't say anything to the dog, not much value. There's a very limited conversation area that you can work in. And but watched the dog a bit. And about 3-4 minutes went by, and then the stallion, he come over. Have you heard the expression, a gully washer? Well, that's in a desert-like condition where rain spread over a fair large area will accumulate very quickly. It won't sink in. It just heads for the lowest spot and down that gully or gulch or ravine. Well, that's what that stallion did. It walked over to the first place that the dog had urinated on, that I had made water on. I think that sounds a little better, possibly a little more decorum, but one might wonder. That stallion, he flooded all 4 places. And then the stallion walked past in front of, I was on the fence, I couldn't go behind, and it turned and it stared intently at the dog. And moreover, it was staring at me. I could see neighbors, if we had any neighbors, I could see them staring, or people driving by on the highway. Of course, I mean, depending on how fast they were going and so on like that, they probably didn't see anything. And who knows? Why is a person standing out there near a clump of grass 300 feet from the highway? I mean, you just wouldn't see it. So, the dog, the stallion, and myself, we purged our bladders. I think the stallion did a better job of it, I'm telling you. I mean, that thing must have been saving up its supply of liquid. I mean, all day long. I have no idea. I'm sure the stallion didn't know that any such stupidity would ever be taking place. The stallion did nothing. The dog, he seemed to feel that he had accomplished quite a bit, but it did nothing either. And as I thought about this, I thought, there are those who may wonder as to my mental acumen, but no one was around, and who's ever going to know? That was the thought back then. Then I was reminded of when we dropped a round bale over, rolled it off the truck, and my 2 sons and a couple of their friends, well, we didn't have a front-end loader nor a tractor at that time, and so we just kind of backed the truck up and rolled her right up and over, and it ended up sitting there pretty good, right on the ground, not on the fence, on the ground. And Stallion, he is a very observant horse, and Well, if I ever told you what kind of breed it was, you'd know he wasn't that bright a horse, but nonetheless, he was attentive. And we were all standing there, kind of celebrating the fact that we got the bale of hay on the right side of the fence rather than it getting halfway up and rolling back over on the wrong side and so on. And we just rolled it off the truck anyways. But stranger things have happened than getting it where you really wanted it. And so the stallion was standing back, and my favorite little dog, golden retriever, good dog, and it went over and kind of got so that the stallion was sure to see it. And it's very interesting that between the bale of hay and the stallion was a fence. It was about 6 foot high, a heavy fence. And so the dog, feeling quite comfortable in its own skin, it got between the fence and the bale of hay. And it lifted its leg and urinated on the horse's bale of hay, round bale, 1,500 pounds, whatever, good size. And the stallion watched intently, but not for long. And the stallion, while the dog was busy, and the dog wasn't watching, he was rather enjoying what he was doing, as he seemed to be inclined to do. And the stallion actually jumped forward, reached over the fence, grabbed the dog by the scruff of the neck. We're all watching now, okay? That's my 2 boys and a couple of their friends and myself. And that stallion took that dog, probably a 60, 70 pound dog, good sized dog, not huge, but it's for a retriever, it's a decent sized dog, and threw it straight in the air. And as he did, he stepped back a little bit, and the dog was screaming, appropriately so. I'm sure it had a neck with a whole lot more loose skin on it after than as opposed to before the horse grabbed him and threw him in the air by the scruff of the neck. We were all watching, just kind of shocked. We'd never seen the stallion throw the dog so far. I'd never seen the stallion throw the dog at all. And gravity took over, but that dog, that horse had him about 6 foot over the fence post, which means the dog was probably about 12 foot in the air. The fence posts were fairly tall. That dog was not barking or anything. That dog was screaming. And it started back down to the ground, but its 2 hind feet landed right on top of the fence post. It was still screaming. The stallion realized that there was a greater opportunity available to him, and he lunged at that dog again. And that dog, he didn't quit screaming, but he sure got out of Dodge in a hurry. And I mean, it was gone. And I don't blame it. I mean, we're talking a good-sized stallion. Stupid, but a good-sized one. The breed is crazy. I mean, it is. It's not a paint. It's not a quarter horse or a Belgian. Percheron are okay. Clydes are too smart. We, all 5 of us guys, well, not counting the horse and the dog, we were thinking, gee, if we had a camera, we would be able to have this thing put in some entertaining television show type thing. That's it. Okay? I mean, you can only take a story so far, and then you're ad-libbing, and that's not meritorious. The stallion had actually been gelded, but it was cut proud, which meant there was still one working member in that area of the body that the vet couldn't find, and the stallion, I'm sure, was quite happy about it. And that stallion, I walked into the pen to say hello to one of the mares, and she is the same breed as he was. And so I was busy betting that mare, and I didn't pay very much attention to the stallion, but the stallion was paying a fair bit of attention to me. And the first that I ever noticed that stallion had the techno ability to breed was when it mounted the mare that I was standing right beside. But it did not just mount the mare. It took its front right hoof and crushed my cowboy hat. And I know how to punch, like I was taught. And that horse knew how to drop a hoof on a person's hat and their head and halfway down through their chest. That horse drove me straight to the ground. And I kind of just shockingly recovered. It took me a moment or two, and I kind of got out of the way. I thought, let's not interfere with the breeding habits of a horse that big. Anyways, I kind of got out of the way, and looking 17 minutes, not quite enough. It's pretty good. I hope you don't have to pay for these stupid things, eh? Like, really. I would hate to see you pay 17 for 17 minutes of humor that is not as maybe as good as it should. Well, definitely could. And definitely should be. I don't think there's a blessed intelligent thing I can add to this. One old man said, if you don't have anything more to say, it's quite possibly not the wrong thing to stop. But I've never let that bother me before. When I was younger, my dad said, one thing I noticed about you, son, he said, you don't ever let wisdom and common sense interfere with what you want to do. It's pretty much the truth. One more little short story, and that would be Dolly. Oh, back when Dolly Parton was first coming into the singing world, oh, my word. Anyways, we named one of our horses Dolly. And I was 14, and I was riding Dolly flat out as hard as I could. And Dolly was a pretty smart little mare. And so Dolly headed straight to a maple tree, a dead gallop, hard as she could go. And I was doing pretty good. Of course, in my mind, I was a pretty good rider. I since learned that's not really the case. And we got about 4 to 6 feet from that maple tree, and she hung a hard right. I didn't. I went straight into that maple tree with my my left, but just below the shoulder, and broke that arm pretty good. Hit the ground rather hard. And was feeling quite a significant amount of pain and discomfort. And we had a campground, Martin's Camping at Wasaga Beach. It was quite large. And there was a lady, a lady, and she well could have been called Dolly as well. And she came over where I was writhing on the ground and kind of gathered me into her arms. And it is surprising at 14 years of age how the advent of someone that is built as well as Dolly Parton can really detract from the pain you're experiencing. And so she went to work holding on to me and just snuggling up. And of course, I being 14, I thought, well, I think my arms are supposed to be around near her back or something. Anyways, I did everything that I could to make her job of giving me, perhaps the word might be succor. Spelled S-U-C, I don't think it is too O-U-R, whatever. Otherwise known as an awful lot of fun. And so for about half, 3/4 of an hour, that wonderful looking woman, I mean, I don't know what it is, but a black-haired woman, I tell you, I'm pretty impressed. And I've seen some astounding black-haired women. My dad, he seemed to find it his mission in life to screw up my times of pure, unadulterated joy. And didn't he come with the stupid car to take me to the stupid hospital to get my... I did everything in my power to suggest that, hey, there's a very good chance that I could suck this up here a bit and not need to go to the hospital, which he wasn't too impressed with. And I'm not really certain that he didn't understand fully my reticence to leave those arms that were wrapped around me pretty tight. And, but anyways, off to the hospital we went and all that sort of stuff. So, I hope this isn't too boring for you. Listen, my 3 things that I always do, I am trying to lighten up a bit because it's better than being too preoccupied with one's own significance. And but the basic things that I do, there are 3 now. A little statement, you're going to live till you die. That's 1. 2, if you can't follow the Lord, you're going to get off the trail. 3, don't children say the strangest things. Now I'm going with 4, because Solomon said to his son, eat, drink, and be merry. But remember, you are going to meet the Lord. There's a very strong indication that what Solomon really was saying is, you're going to die. You're going to live. You're going to die. You're going to meet the Lord. So, all that's up to you. I would like to encourage you in this. We are going to get through COVID. We are going to get through other issues and problems in your life, in mine, in our lives. Sometimes it's very hard for you to buy that, believe that. I understand. I have spent since 1978 in Alberta, and I have seen good times. I've seen hard times. I have seen some bad times. But I truly do believe the good times outweigh the bad. You just have to think right, plan right. So I have just a very simple thing to say. God bless you. Oh, the other night I did a video, or I mentioned on a video about a little bear that kind of got a bit close to me, real close. And I give it a little bear spray. I wanted to chase it off into the bush so it wouldn't kill anyone. And it went up on the front steps of every house down our street off to whatever that direction is over there. If I don't see the mountains, I don't really have a clue unless the sun is setting or coming up. And then I'm pretty good. Last night, unfortunately, that little bear did get too close to someone and they had to shoot the little thing. And it was a nice little 200-pounder. And I kind of felt bad about that. I kind of thought, I don't know what I could have done. I don't think I could have done anything more. So God bless you, eh? And I'd like to say y'all, but that just sounds so stupid. That's kind of how I talk sometimes. You have a good evening. Remember, Alberta, the sun always comes up in the morning. My father loves you. Think about him a bit. God bless you, eh? God bless. Oh, gee, I got her. Thank you. Thank you very much. God bless.